Chris Paul II.
GP3.
This is Kevon Looney. Welcome back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game. Take it away, Steiny.
Looney!
What do you think he's up to this summer?
Working out.
I hope.
Yep.
Trying to get back into shape. Warriors got a lot of time to work out. I mean, what do you think? I wonder what these players are thinking about watching these playoff series.
We don't know where Wiggins is.
Canada?
Yeah. But you saw something. You teased. That's a tease, people.
Yeah.
That you saw something in these playoffs that has you feeling a little excited.
Well, first and foremost, what do we really know at this point?
That the Warriors aren't in the playoffs.
We know that, but I'm talking about these series. I mean, everyone was telling me that Denver was done. They're dead.
Why
the dynasty's over.
That?
No, I'm not talking about you. There's a lot of people.
Everybody, the world.
Yeah, this entire show has been talking about how Denver's dead in the water. The Wolves are howling. They're next up. OKC and the youth movement is the way to go. And then a week later, we're right back to where we were before, which is, damn, I don't think anybody could beat the Nuggets.
It's incredible, Evan. I don't know. You know what? I'm a little disappointed in myself, and I'm not even mad at Minnesota and the players. But, Evan, this was their first time where they had prosperity. And we just thought they were the real Nuggets and knew what it took. So why was I and everybody else so confident that they were going to go home and the moxie, the pedigree that the Warriors used to have, we just sold Denver out. But Jokic, his energy was not there the first two games. I don't know what was going on. And all of a sudden now, I'm like, Minnesota's in deep, deep trouble.
I don't know if they're in deep, deep trouble. I mean, that's why you got the first two games, but the series has definitely changed. And it has me thinking about the Warriors. And look, if you want to chime in on the San Francisco Giants, we're taking calls on them too. We'll talk to Mason Miller, closer of the Oakland Athletics at 12. 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings in for Matt Steinmetz with Daryl the Guru Johnson. Okay, 415. How about this? Willie Mays on a Zoom call will be effectively a better hitting coach for the Giants. There's your text of the day.
On a Zoom call. I'm going to give him a Zoom.
Wow. on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
I think Willie knows how to do Zoom.
Wow. Willie doing good now.
He's 93. Shout out to him.
Happy birthday. It was last week.
Yeah, living large. But watching that series, Denver and Minnesota.
Here we go.
It does make me feel better about the Warriors and their chances to get, not to the mountaintop, but in a postseason series, you have to have multiple ways to win. And I think just being young and athletic, it's one of the reasons why I didn't give up on the Nuggets when they went down 2-0, is because you need to see what happens when another team throws a punch. And Denver has thrown their punch.
Man.
And now we'll see if Minnesota has a counter. I think when Steve Kerr, and I was listening to this last night, his comments about the play-in game, right? They would have felt confident if there was a game one loss against the Kings.
Damn, I didn't hear that.
Because there's an opportunity to counter in a 7-game series. If they can find a way to get to the postseason, I do think this is still a team that can counter, that can find ways to win multiple games. And the big reason also why I think the Warriors are not in a position where they have to, go out and grab everything on earth like everyone is asking them to, is because we're also seeing that just because you're bigger and longer and more athletic and younger than a team like Minnesota is with Denver doesn't mean that's automatically going to win you a series or blow them away. The Nuggets have gone small. They put Aaron Gordon at the 5. They're playing Christian Brown. They're playing Justin Holiday.
And he's balling.
They're spacing the floor. There are multiple ways for the Denver Nuggets to win, and I'm not saying the Warriors are them. But watching that series does make me feel like going out and grabbing size and just getting random athletes all around, that's not necessarily going to get you to where you want to go.
I'm not even, I got goosebumps. I'm not mad at anything you said, Evan, but I will just counter with this. Evan, you are right in the scenario that you talk about, and maybe I missed that boat when I was trying to convey to Steiny why I felt like the Warrior way, their system, would have bode well in a 7-game playoff. But that can only take you so far when you have 82 games to control where you are at, what position you guys have put your team in. So let's just say I work for a company for 20 years, Evan. I'm a top salesman or I'm a big wig, and the company goes under. I now have put myself, and it's kind of out of my control, in a situation to where I got one job interview to impress a new possible boss. And if I don't have the wherewithal to do that, then, Evan, I'm not going to be able to get a second chance to show my brilliance on a daily basis with that said company. Maybe I can go do it across the street or somewhere else, but my question to what you just said is, that's what I've been banging my head against the wall with. I wanted the Warriors to get in a position to be able to counter, duck and throw an uppercut. But when you don't, like they did, do their part to get out of that play-in game, who do we blame? Like, now it's about how do you avoid the play-in game to where all kind of stuff can pop off and we don't get to see the multifaceted Golden State Warriors roster because you put yourself in a position with losses to where you're in a one and done. So how do you get past that is my question, because I agree with you, but they put themselves in that spot.
They did, but Goo, you're also captain of the if Draymond Green didn't get suspended campaign.
No doubt, I'm still there.
So if he didn't get suspended, do you think they'd have a seven-game series?
Got you.
I mean,
I do.
So if you are of that belief, well, then I think they can get to a postseason series next year.
And I told you, and I think you see me 20 hours a week.
They have to. If
they run it back, Evan, I'm not going to come in here crying. Like, I could see that. I could see that if they deem what they saw when they were fully at full strength, if that's what you decide to do, I'm not down on Wiggins like everybody else is. I'm exhausted, but I'll never call him a not good enough basketball player. It's just upstairs, and how do we get the engine firing more often than not? So if we end up seeing a scenario, and I think it's in play, Evan, to where Wiggins is part of this basketball team along with Clay and some tweaks on the edges, I could understand that. It's not the leader in the clubhouse for me, but I could understand that.
Well, I hope what I'm saying is not run it back and just see how it goes. But when I'm watching these playoffs, I still think that there are pieces on the Warriors that do matter. I mean, you talked about the pedigree that the Warriors don't have. I think they still have pedigree. I just don't think they have enough talent, or they don't have enough cohesion and chemistry, because over the course of this season, it was either suspensions or it was injuries, or it was too many old players, or it was a lack of young players. But you were full strength in Sacramento that night, and that's why that loss hurt me. I thought the pedigree button was disabled. Like, I get we want a series, but when you're prideful like the Warriors and you've achieved so much and you're at full health and the other team, the Kings, were not, Evan, I thought I just took it for granted they could hit that pedigree button because they've been in that situation where, you're watching yourself like you lose this, it's over. And they just sputtered. And that's what hurt me. But when you watch game 2 of the Denver-Minnesota series, did you think that series was over?
I did, Evan.
And what have we learned since then?
That
never series
count
is
out
not
a champion,
over.
No doubt.
Game 3, Denver came back and absolutely lambasted Minnesota. I didn't think the series was over, but it felt like the series changed. So one game, and that's the reward the Warriors get for not being able to get out of the play-in tournament, or at least get to a top 7 or 8 seed. Your reward or your consequence is if you have a bad night, you're done. That's why I didn't feel good about the Warriors' chances to make a run. It's because if you have one bad game,
that's a wrap.
You're out. You're sitting on your couch. If Denver has one bad game, they get 3 more chances or 4 more chances. So I think that's why the regular season has become more important to me than ever before. It's to get that second or third or fourth opportunity. The Warriors got bounced in a play-in game, and they got blown out by Sacramento.
I'll never forget it.
But I do think, and again, I keep thinking about what Steve Kerr said, if that's game 1 of a series, I'm not necessarily feeling bad about that game.
Well, let me ask you this. Since we've been talking about the Giants and the youth, and if the Giants should have went with the youth before spending the money on the credit card in regard to the free agents that they brought in, Evan, if you're not talking about being an advocate for running it back, what would you like to see them kind of do to try to get back to relevancy?
Well, I think there are pieces of their veteran core that they can either move off of or potentially trade. I mean, I still think the Klay Thompson negotiations or that decision is the biggest one because I think everything falls in line after that based on how much money you do or don't have to spend or how much money you're trying to save or move below, your taxpayer level. So Klay Thompson's number one. I still think that Klay Thompson is going to be on the team next year. But if they decide to move off him, I think there is flexibility for the Warriors. I think there is some more freedom to choose what to do, what path to go. I mean, to me, I think the only thing that we've talked about this a lot. I think the only thing that I want to see this summer is Andrew Wiggins be moved because I think that clears a runway for some younger wing players. And what we're seeing, I think, with Denver as well as Minnesota is that the youth is a positive. You do need it. You need young players. You need athletic players. You need long players. But you also need your stars to play like stars. And I think the Warriors have with Curry enough to, try and find a way to kind of piece together a regular season next year that I don't see any reason why they can't get 2 or 3 more wins than they did last year.
Man, I'm hearing that, but just hearing you say maybe the possible, which we all know it's realistic, Evan, the possible departure of Klay Thompson, and then if you and any other Warrior fans got their wish and there was no Andrew Wiggins, man, Evan, you're telling me 2/5 of your starting lineup are gone. Like who's going to be your 2? Who's going to be your 3? Like that's a big ask to kind of say everything stayed copacetic, but you lost Wiggins, who when last time you hoisted up the O'Brien Trophy, Wiggins was your second best player, and then a guy that can shoot you 38% from 3 is not on the team. And if he comes back, I just feel like if he comes back, he's starting. And I'm not opposed. Like, that doesn't bother me. But if you move off of that, you're talking about an off season of trying to get 2 guys to put in your starting 5 and have that work for the first time. Like, that's risky.
Well, it is, but what's your other choice? I mean, just to kind of remain the same, to do the same stuff and hope that the results are different?
Definition of insanity.
Perhaps. I also think, and look, yesterday we saw the Warriors not get a first-round pick, which is, I don't know.
I thought they did, but go ahead. That's just me.
Well, why?
Put the Warrior logo on the envelope. You should. Had the Warriors came up 14 when Portland came, I was under the impression that logo would have said Warriors, and then they would have told us that goes to Portland and it turns into Portland. My question to you and the masses is, well, when the hell was the Warrior logo going to be shown? I thought when it was the Final Four and they went to commercial that they got it. And I'm dancing around in the living room sipping on mimosas on Mother's Day, but yeah, like, come on, Evan, they did that wrong, and I'm not by myself, and I'm not ashamed to say I thought the Warriors still had action. They tricked us.
Who tricked you?
The NBA. That Portland pick should have had the Warrior logo when it first came out, and it said that goes to Portland. But don't have us. I'm thinking we got action. And I'm not.
But that's where you're getting it wrong.
See, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch this live. I wasn't locked into the NBA draft lottery.
People thought, man,
bulletin board cards are being pulled out. But
I said, Laker made a call.
Who owns the Warriors pick?
If it's not top 4, it's Portland.
So when that pick is made,
it should be the Warriors, and then they turn it into Portland.
Well, actually, if you really wanted to do this right, you would pull the Warriors card, and then you would pull the Memphis card, and then you would pull the Celtics card, and then you would pull the Trailblazers card, because that's where that pick has been over the last 365 days. It's been in 4 different locales. Well, actually, since 2019. 3 different locales the last 365 days. But... So, Goo,
I thought they were in the top 4.
So you were celebrating yesterday?
Yeah, during the commercial, like, they want Steph to be back. Let's go. And I know, there's no Wemby in this draft. The fact that they would have got that shot in the arm, and then when they come back from commercial, and then I'm like, there's no Warrior logo. I'm like, oh, that hurt.
No first-round pick.
That hurt.
Well, but it was only the 14th pick anyways.
It's a wrap.
Well, this year is.
And then Atlanta wins, and they have no business winning.
Atlanta?
Yeah,
they'll mess it up.
And then did you see the cameo of our guy, Grant Liffman, at the table?
Rising star.
Oh, my goodness.
Fading.
I said, boy.
Like the Northern Lights.
Look at that.
A fallacy.
I'm
just not
sorry,
even
Evan,
there.
but man, they tricked me. I read it wrong, my bad, but boy, I wasn't by myself. I put it on X, and people said, Goo, I was with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, so
I thought because we didn't see, in something like that, you don't want to see your logo until last. And that's how I took it, like that bridge is still there.
But if they were in the top 4, then they would have been pulled, right?
See, that's where I get lost.
But you saw Portland first. I guess my thing is, I don't know, like, so there wasn't any discussion of the pick being traded or now being Portland's from who.
Now, I got to be careful here.
Because if anything, it would have been Boston. I mean, that was the last place it was owned,
and they
right?
had the little tea leaves that, if it were Evan, it changed to Guru, and they tell you why. I just thought early that if I saw the Warriors, I'd be like, okay, we're done, and I can rest. But that thing kept going, and then I'm thinking, link up! Joey, they want Warriors back! Steph! Let's go. They don't like what we're talking about daily on the station because we're nervous and scared. And they come back from commercial, and I see those 4 teams, and I'm like, I did that twice. I'm hurt, Evan.
I'm actually glad they didn't get a top 4 pick. I don't think this draft is very good. Everything I've read about it says not to be excited about a single player that's coming out of this draft.
Now, what if you wanted to use that and trade it then, E?
Use what?
Say they got top 4. Maybe there's a team out there that has identified one of these players from somewhere else that they feel like might be a fit, and you could put that pick with one of your current players and have that attractive be more
well. But again,
attractive.
If you luck into from moving from 14 to top 4 and you don't want that pick, why should I trade with you? If you don't want that guy in a year that you might not have another top 5 pick for a minute, why would I want that pick? I don't know. I mean, to me, I just think the Warriors dodged a bullet, honestly.
Well, there's a Uzi still facing them. You dodged the bullet, but you still got a machine gun facing you in regard to what direction you're going to go with these decisions. And if you get off of Clay, you need to replace him. Is that in-house? I don't think so. That doesn't make me sleep good at night. And then the Andrew Wiggins thing, that's the worst part. I wish Wiggins was just, he was getting old and you could see it and there was slippage. And that's why I mean what I say, Evan. From a basketball standpoint, if we went to open gym tonight at LA Fitness or 24-Hour Fitness and Andrew Wiggins was playing, we would get back in the car after hooping like, damn, dude can do a lot athletically. But he can't because he needs a jump start every other game, and nobody knows why. It's just, man.
Well, it looks like the 925's with you here.
No, I'm being real.
The Xfinity Mobile text line. We all thought that too. Me and my wife were dancing around the room.
Spadoni, were you under the impression?
To be completely honest, could not care less about this draft.
The truth,
and I think that's 90% of basketball fans right now. People are more interested where Bronny James, who's maybe a second-round pick, probably going to go undrafted, goes. That is a prop bet right now on DraftKings is where Bronny James goes.
Guru loves the kids. I got 3 of my own. I love Biddy and his baby sister like they're my own.
Shout out Nora.
Yeah. Nora. I love them. Little LJ. Come on, man. What am I missing?
You don't love Bronny James.
This kid is not really an NBA player, but your dad is so great. You're getting a scholarship, and maybe I do it with young Donovan, Milan, and Daryl, with my eyes closed. But Evan, what part of me hates the stench to hear that these teams are going to draft him because they want the services of his dad? I just want to rip the mic out and jump out the studio. And I'm not hating on you, Bronny, if you're listening, but this is wrong.
But nepotism kind of runs everything. I do think it's funny how we pick on Bronny James.
On my knees.
No, I'm not going to grab a cape for this kid, but I do think it's interesting how no one has issues with nepotism, largely. I mean, there's a few examples here and there in which someone gets something they're not supposed to. Dude, you ever go look at an NFL coaching staff? No. Go look at the San Francisco Niners coaching staff right now. You'll see about 3 or 4 last names that are pretty familiar.
But that's the dirty little secret. It ain't out front like this
the head
thing
coach.
is. Well, I was first one I thought about, but you know what I'm saying?
Didn't want to go there.
And I love the word nepotism, but that's kind of, it's in the bag.
But why are you going after Bronny then?
Because this is front, like, I don't need a report. He's going to go in the draft, of course. But if his name was Tom Thumb, he'd be in Europe. You know what? Let me be careful.
But if you were the LeBron James, or you turn into the LeBron James of Bay Area sports radio, right? And let's say Lil D wants to get into radio. Are you really not going to?
Oh no! See, I
keep that door open for him.
I'd be smiling
if it's your kid,
no doubt, and that's why I got to be careful. This is not anything against Bronny, and I love your dad. It's just when you're great at something like LeBron James has been, I guess this is what you get.
Yes, you get the world. You get it all.
Who does the Atlanta Hawks draft? LeBron James is Gardner. Come on up. We got a jersey for you. When does it end? Right.
Yeah, he's got some tools.
I don't know.
A hoe?
I
don't know.
Tools. I like that.
This is from the 415, the Xfinity mobile text line. There's nepotism going around in corporate America every day. I know. We just don't talk about it because it gets swept under the rug and no one really cares. Oh, that's Johnny's kid? Oh, wow. Good for him. He's a hard worker.
That's what I strive for, but Evan, watching it play out, I don't know, man.
Via DraftKings, gentlemen, the Warriors have the 7th best odds to land Bronny James right now. So via DraftKings. So Lakers a favorite. Yeah. Bronny James to whoever, right? Lakers at plus 180. Then tied for plus 1,000. You got the Sixers, Thunder, Cavs. Then followed by the Knicks. Then you got the Clippers, Hawks, Heat, and then a four-way tie at plus 2,000 or 20-1. Warriors, Bucks, Spurs, Grizzlies.
But to Spadoni's point, this is what people are going to be talking about come draft night, not whatever prospect you thought the Warriors were going to take in the top 4.
I got you.
And that's why I think they dodged a bullet, because let's say that they don't, or they did get the top 4 pick, right, Goo? Well, that kicks their first-round pick down the road to next year, in which it's top 1 protected. So if the Warriors, God forbid, have a horrible season, they would have to have the number 1 overall pick to keep it. And if somehow that happens, then you just roll it down the line. So It's not like you trade the pick and then all of a sudden you get your top 4 and then you don't have to give one back.
Oh, okay.
And that's something I just think is interesting how.
And I wasn't on that. I can't front.
Did people really want the Warriors to get a top 4 pick this year?
I thought it was good news, Would that have not been good news in a time that you need it?
I don't really think so. 888-957-9570. There's also something about that pick that stood out to me. And I think it tells a story about where the Warriors were, where they are, and where they're going. And I'll talk about that on the other side. Evan Giddings in for Matt Steinmetz with Daryl the Guru Johnson. We got Mason Miller, closer for the Oakland Athletics. I think the most electric arm in baseball, coming up at noon right here on 95.7 The Game. By the way, you can catch all 4 hours of Steiny and Guru on the free Odyssey app. You can download the Odyssey app directly from our QR code on both YouTube and Twitch. Brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. Upgrade your savings dividend. Open a First NorCal First Class Money Market today. We'll be back after this on 95.